Calling ambulolo cool with whatever we do. Jioni safu nola with whatever we do. Hale yidemu new school. Nyepamne ne kudlukula. Nyepangi ragala gena. Nyepamne ne kudlukula. Ibuloke nungoto ni beti sola. Ibuloke dato ni beto.
Bengi Congo.
Lamin.
Na?
Lamin te jibe norin te nyame Lamin.
Kabana wulo kono.
Wulo kono nyinta mo Lamin.
Pabilenki.
Muna ngata afongole.
Haina.
Ngata. Ngoto le. Fabrama.
Bengi. Baba nyole.
Ngoto le Fabrama.
Na mu jumara kan kuma diten.
Fabrama.
Jumara mu.
Ndele bare muso.
Nunda mana. Jamani mbere.
Alindo ko.
Jamani.
Bari ngoto man kontande.
Bari jamani bana na mu kontan.
Ngoto maka ngala min je fon filitala. Lamin jibe nori nyala.
Lamin ida siran sama ne benki. Yala so tol sayni no ko mo lokko momo.
Ngoto.
Nam.
Itedinte yalo ne Lamin hakkilo diata bake karambu ngoto. Anu santeng. Ngoto man ko an fere.
Jamani mu ne keda.
Ite Lamin ki wulo ko no nyinta mon ko do fete malo Lamin nyande sila la be la moy kala karango.
Jamani karambo be soron ne ko fasi ka wulo kono ko.
Baba.
Karambo wol ma ko ni ko karambo wol soron da amaka kom holiday lem. Ngodo. Dini wo nyanta sila la ala karango la moy yamen kaben fue. Man kontan anda mande.
Allah min kombo courant adan dal kombo len do la jan karambo wol soron da do kamen courant ma do lo kombo. E don dol fana na karambo wol soron je karambo wol soron Lamin ada lo ni no la man tara fe na sokon. Ala mu ne kela
Lamin ite fete malo ko lesinol de ke kar radio to.
Nga fine.
e ko yaadi mo Lamin
Nga fine.
yamu na fonye
Kabin mina kan ntambita nteri maning Fatu.
Ha.
Ntambita la sukara ala dinol bebe siri be la moy ka.
faru dan so am nan tambira jere ni subala ngaje dinni ngol be jet talanta nen kili waro e be serin jelet
Sa Lamin fadante ku kili wo ke no la ba Lamin bita ka wulo ko no nyinta mo Lamin.
aman dara fennala
Ite dina ko di man siri kari lesinol la moy radio to e balon na.
mo ne ka ke afende ma nyaara ni alon
Telentel jikot.
afende ma mo be ke
Ite balontel be jikritel. Ni man karambe ku kele. Yaje nata karana mbasa malaya e tarije.
par ñarande kombo courant ho findira kombo ide na raje den sonka bay ko Lamin ma nyaata la wulo ko karam mo be so da afende membe
ko to wole nati bayo ngalle ni Lamin kuntala kombo courant e ka fa me kombo courant asototal wala kinay ko e sisu kono bari ni ko e sisu kono be karangol di ke radio lin telel to hani tele masoto to nyaay man tele soto da bongo bar radio be bulen koto batiri sanga ay si ay alamo
sa o kala nyaadi o kala nyaadi
kamun ke nyaadi
radio abo wala be mona falaje
ibe la karandirol kala jele
ti talle be radio ko men
il est subjecteur baby jele baby jele
wala nan ka coco moy fa dan so wala ngom metambi ka nga dinni ngol de be ikadum bu ko de kala
ma asototal de
Lamin mala be kara wala de
bari
laftalal ideal on ko inde every year second wala fourth
ya ko ndego sini lamba ndele sini no ne ba
mbasa mba foke yon koto wole fango yen wulindi yalo famo keta bat ñu fana bulata ko ko me yen nati jambi Lamin nyanta karana ntel beji ko be nyineka ya bulay kara wulo kana ta kilar ya bambalo yo be bulaje koto dinni ngoy si ayala le sino la moy radio
wala ka munda kara mo ma soro Lamin nyanda kara si so na regular
sila de ayala le sino
dal ko korno ko smalo
kilar ya
mo be ngala ko mo sa mi do ni ko no kara
bengi bruzo
am ndelo ko la da ba rosa no radio ba no bari woro radio ni abe jele ba ngam do man dembe buljan dala nyara nyar woro bu ko fendi mo la Lamin tayra ba rosa
bara te ku folo ajibe nori nya Lamin tamete ku
muna na
teku
bari ko do famo ke
ja e ma nani nyambo si zol ne ke je kisgi man si zol no le kabun ka nyoma bari nyambo kino ni manya na ka fendi ni nambe ko zol la ga
ngalle limbeta de be nyambo do dilanna
nyara ni ko rin fennat nyara nata
bari famo ke
na bungono tammi bungono ngam mele ko ngam ni pelo la ndija
iyo
la bungono bismillah bisu diara
pendulala ye fongo tanka sina dulu tanka koro ta koro
Hello, I am Alaji SM Youth, and I'm here to take you your first lesson in economics, senior secondary school, of course. The first lesson we will deal with in economics is going to be basic economic concepts. So first of all, we are going to look at the objectives which we want to achieve at the end of the lesson. At the end of this lesson, students are expected to know the definition of scarcity, scale of preference, choice and opportunity, cost, and the production possibility curve, and also some exam questions will be treated with you. Now our content, we have scarcity, scale of preference, choice, opportunity cost, and production possibility curve in relation to the objectives which we just saw you. So, but before I go further into scarcity, let me first give you the basis of what the subject is all about, that is economics. Because you were taught that in class, some of you might have an experience in their first class in economics. They were given the definition and the scope. So the scope of economics generally, when we look at it, is talking about how people deal with their resources in order to satisfy their wants. So many definitions were given by various economists, but the widely accepted definition is the one I will just talk about, the one which is given by Professor Lionel Robin in 1932. How do Lionel Robin define economics? He defines economics as the science that studies human behavior, as the relationship of ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. When we look at this definition critically, he highlighted important points. First of all, he says economics is a science. He says economics is a science. And this science, what does it study? Because we know that science subjects, they study something. So he further says, is the science subject that study human behavior. Human behavior. He says this science subject, it studies human behavior. So from his definition, we can learn that economics is a science, but which science? It is a social science. It is a social science subject. So we learned that from his definition, but he did not stop there. Because if we say that economics studies human behavior, under which context? He said as a relationship of ends and scarce means, as a and scarce means which have alternative uses. Now, let's look at this area as a relationship of ends and scarce means. What does he mean by ends? Here, he is referring to the human wants. Scarce means, now the means here are the resources we use to satisfy those wants. Why did he bring scarce? That scarce is from the word scarcity we are coming to talk about. That scarcity here, scarce is elaborating that our resources are inadequate. They are not enough to satisfy our wants. So that is why our first economic concept we are talking about is scarcity. Scarcity refers to the limited resources as against our unlimited ones. So basically then we can say that scarcity is refers to as also the economic problem of society. Why do we say scarcity is the economic problem of society? So scarcity, when we look at it, it is a term used in economics to indicate the inadequacy of resources used to satisfy human wants which are known to be unlimited. Our wants are unlimited and our resources are limited. So the word scarcity is now elaborating on the inadequacy of our resources. And these resources are what we need to satisfy our diverse unlimited wants. So therefore, say human wants are said to be unlimited. This means that human wants cannot be exhausted. So whenever you satisfy one, another one arises. That is why we say that wants are unlimited. When you look at yourself as an example, anytime you are sitting, you normally have a problem which is not yet to be solved. Sometimes you have a list of problems, and when you solve one, another arises. And when you have your list of problems also, compare to the resources that are in your hand, you will not be able to satisfy all at the same time. So therefore, you say health scarcity is the economic problem. How will this problem be solved? Because if there is a problem, there must be a solution. So hence we cannot satisfy our wants at once, then we need to satisfy our wants based on the available resources we have. What we have is what we can use. So those resources, how are we going to use them? That question now is what economists are working on. He says by doing this then, we need to arrange them in order of priority. Hence we cannot satisfy all of them at the same time, then we are going to arrange them according to their importance and satisfy the one we can satisfy. The others, we push them forward until we have extra resources. So therefore, that process is what we call the scale of preference. We say we need what we call the scale of preference to do that. So that will lead us to the second economic concept, which is scale of preference. What is scale of preference? A scale of preference is defined as the arrangement of lists of unsatisfied ones in order of their importance. Simple. When you list your unsatisfied ones according to their importance, that is simply what we call scale of preference. That's why, in other words, scale of preference is a list of ones showing the order of which we can satisfy them. So, when ones are arranged, choices are made, and the rest will be forgone for the next time. That is it. If you arrange your one, now you choose the one you can satisfy, and the rest you forgone them. That is the time when opportunity costs come and choice come into play. You see, the opportunity cost and choice, that's where we have them. Now, let's have a simple example of a scale of preference. Modu is having $150. He wants to buy an exercise book, set box, pairs of shoes, and a school t-shirt, as shown below. When you look at it now, Modu has to arrange his wants based on how important they are to him. And note that your scale of preference is different from someone else's scale of preference. This is Modu's scale of preference. Maybe if it was me, I will say, okay, set box is more important to me, so it will be the one on top. Or t-shirt is more important to me, it will be the one on top. But according to Modu's scale of preference now, is the exercise book which is more important to him. And the exercise book is costing $50. Set box is costing $100. And we have pairs of shoes, 150, t-shirts, $75. So basically, this is Modu's scale of preference. Now from the scale of preference, we will now move to choice and opportunity cost. What is choice? Choice is the act of choosing out of a number of alternatives. It's just the literal meaning of choice is just choose. When you are given a list, different alternatives you choose. That is what we call choice in economics. And even in any time, any word. So now, but now here we will be looking at choice under the context of the scale of preference. So from our scale of preference, we already know that we cannot satisfy all the ones at the same time. Therefore, we need to choose the most important ones our resources can satisfy. Those ones we choose are called our choice on the scale of preference. The one we choose to satisfy, the one which our resources can satisfy. Those are the ones we call our choices. Now we go to what we call the opportunity cost. This is the term used to express cost in terms of foregone alternative or ones. It is defined as the next best alternative foregone when we make a choice. Note, the next best alternative. Many students do create confusion under this opportunity cost because of the next best alternative I highlight. They don't put that one into consideration. Opportunity cost, when you have your choice now, the opportunity cost become your second best. If I told you did not select the first one, the second you will select in relation to your resources, that will become your opportunity cost. So sometimes you can be given a list of ones, but you will look at it based on your resources. Even if you select your second best, you will not exhaust the list. But know that your opportunity cost is just the next best based on the resources you have. So the other name for opportunity cost can be real cost or true cost. Okay? So let's look at this example. Babukar is having $140. He wants to buy a school bag which is costing $200 and a pair of shoes which is costing $230. So now, if Babukar chooses to buy a school bag, therefore Babukar's choice is the school bag. Now, the opportunity cost or true cost of the school bag is the pair of shoes he decided to forgo. So he decided to sacrifice the school bag he decided to sacrifice the pair of shoes in order to buy the school bag. That is what made the pair of shoes his opportunity cost. Because if at all Babukar did not buy the school bag, probably he will able to spend an amount in the pair of shoes because it's $200. He's having $140, sorry. So therefore he will able to buy the pair of shoes because the pair of shoes is costing $230. So therefore he can buy the pair of shoes and left with $10 change. But he chooses to buy the school bag. Therefore the rest he will not able to buy. Now, let's look at the importance of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is very important. Opportunity cost is important to the individual, it's important to the government, it's important to the firms. But first, we are going to look at the importance of opportunity cost to an individual. How opportunity cost is important to the individual. You as a person, what is the importance of opportunity cost to you? First, we said opportunity costs help individuals in making wise choices when satisfying their own limited wants. And that is very true. So, you know that you cannot exhaust your wants at the same time. Now, opportunity cost will give you the mind on what am I going to sacrifice, what I'm sacrificing, how much is it costing to me. Because in economics, you have to put into consideration that we have two types of costs, different from accounting. In economics, you have the money cost and you have the real cost. And the real cost is what we are talking about here, which is the opportunity cost. So whenever you are making choices, you don't only consider the money cost. You also consider the opportunity cost. What you are sacrificing, how important it is to you. So therefore, if you put those factors into consideration, whenever you are making choices, you will make a wise choice. Then opportunity cost is important to us individual. The second one is opportunity cost help individual in efficient use of their resources. How are you going to use your resources maximally so that they can satisfy you at their highest potential level, output? If you are making choice You are thinking about what to sacrifice, why are you sacrificing it. All those angles help you to be able to use your resources to their highest output. So you can see that opportunity cost is very important to the individual. Even though some of us don't factor it in when we are making choices, but sometimes we apply it without knowing it. But if you know it, it will be more efficient in the application, because you will know that this is what I'm dealing with. But normally, sometimes in real life, we apply these concepts of opportunity cost without knowing it, because economics is studying how we behave, our activities, our behaviors as human beings. So sometimes we do things which we don't know in real life that it is part of our economic concepts. So we are going to also look at the importance of opportunity cost to the farm. So opportunity costs help farm in making wise choices as to how to best use the factors of production in order to maximize their profit. Factors of production. I will not go in detail in factors of production, but because that area we will deal with it in production. But I will just list the factors of production we have, which are the land, labor, capital, and the entrepreneur. So now, farms, when they are producing, those are the factors they base on. How are they going to use those factors to maximize their profit? They use the knowledge of opportunity cost. What to produce, what not to produce. It helps them. Are we going to use labor intensive, or are we going to use capital intensive? Labor intensive is you apply more labor in the production. Capital intensive is you use more capital, machines and other things in production. Which one will yield you high profit? Everything is now in the knowledge of opportunity cost. So opportunity cost also help farms in deciding the techniques of production. That's what I was talking about, capital intensive and labor intensive. And it helps them to choose the type of products. That will bring you opportunity costs in the production in farms. When you are choosing the type of products to produce, what will be your opportunity cost? Some students will ask that. When farms are choosing the type of product they will produce, what will be their opportunity cost? Okay. Now, if farms want to produce, they can have a list of products. And this list of products, they will look at the one which have high profit. But now, if they list them, that is their scale of preference. If they list them, they must have a second best. That is the profit they should have realized if they produce the second best. So the profit they should have realized if they produce the second best become their opportunity cost. So this is why if farms are choosing the type of products to produce, they put into the turnout, the return into consideration. And the one they sacrifice, the return of that goods will become their opportunity cost when choosing a product. Now let's look at government. How is opportunity cost important to government? Some people might think that government don't apply this concept, but government apply this concept every time. This is the concept they use every time. It helps them in they are preparing their budgets. Every year, you do listen to the budget speech, prepare, which is the financial, which is the revenue of the government compared to their expenditures. So it's the expenditure plan of the government. So when government are preparing their budget, opportunity costs help them to efficiently allocate the country's scarce resources. How are they going to allocate the country's scarce resources efficiently so that these resources can yield them high output? What are they going to sacrifice and what are they going to choose? Of course, if government are choosing in expenditures, they will choose to spend on areas which yield them high output. So, therefore, when you look at it critically, you know that government is acting there as you, the individual, also. Sometimes I give example. I say sometimes if you are looking at economics at government's perspective, start from your individual perspective. If you understand your individual perspective, it will give you the image of the government. You as an individual also, the opportunity cost was helping you in order to use your resources, isn't it? So it's the same. Government also, the opportunity cost is helping them to use their resources because government are using the country's resources for a country's development. So that is why opportunity cost is important in the preparation of budgets. So opportunity cost also help government in decision making to identify the priority areas. Which areas are our priorities? Opportunity cost, because you will know, when I sacrifice this, should I sacrifice the other one, or should I sacrifice on the scale of preference? Government have different priorities. Some governments, their priorities are education. Some governments, their priorities is health. Some governments, their priorities is defense. So they have different priorities based on the areas there. So if they apply the concept of opportunity cost, it will help them to know what is their priority. So now let's look at this exercise. When we look at the exercise, it's a scale of preference. It says the table below shows the scale of preference for senior secondary school students. We use this table to answer the question. Now let's look at the table very well. On the table, we have a list of items. Note, this scale of preference is not your scale of preference. Some students, you give them a scale of preference, they come and take their own priority from this scale of preference. No, they don't do like that. In exam questions, you don't attempt them like that. Attempt them the way you are given to you. Now you will assume that this scale of preference is someone's scale of preference. You are going to work based on what you are given. So based on the scale of preference here, our top choice is textbook, followed by scientific calculator, pairs of shoes, school bag, exercise books, school uniform, football boots, radio set, and cassette tape. Textbook is costing $20. Scientific calculator is costing $30. Pairs of shoes is costing $50. We have school bag is costing $15. Exercise book $10. School uniform $45. Football boots $30. Radio cassette $45. And we have cassette tape $5. Now, let's look at the questions that follow this scale of preference. Question A is saying, which of the item will the student buy if given a sum of $100? Question A. Question B, what will be the opportunity cost of the item purchased with the money available to him? At that time, the money available to him is what? $100. Note, at that time, the money available to the student is $100. Note that. C, with a specific reason, identify the additional item the student can purchase if his allowance is increased by $25. There also you have to be careful. If his income is increased by $25, it means you are going to add the 25 to the 100, make it $125. But that $125 starts from C. It does not apply to A and B. Now we go to D. What will be the new opportunity cost in view of the addition, that is the $25 received in A, C, off. So give reasons for your answers. These are the questions. So now I have read the questions and let me read them again for the benefit of those who are listening so that you can go over the question. First, let me go back to this scale of preference because I know some of you are listening and some will want to get the items on the scale of preference. On the scale of preference, we say the first is textbook, which is costing $20. Second, scientific calculator, which is costing $30. For that, we have pairs of shoes, which is costing $50. And we have fourth, the school bag, which is costing $15. We have the exercise book, the fifth, which is costing $10. We have the school uniform, which is costing $45. We have football boots, which is costing $30. Radio cassettes costing $45. And cassette tapes costing $5. By now, I think you will jot down the score of preference. Now let's go to the question again. Question A, which of the items will the student buy if given a sum of $100? Question B, what will be the opportunity cost of the item purchased with the money available to him? Question C, with a specific reason, identify the additional items the student can purchase if his allowance is increased by 25. Question D, what will be the new opportunity cost in view of the additional $25 received in AC above? Give one reason for your answers. These are the questions. Now let's go to the solution. This is what we have as our solution. Let's start from A. With A, we have an income, the student is having an income of $100. So we were asked what will be the student's choice. So when you look at the items listed, when you add the cost of the textbook, which is costing $20, the scientific calculator, which is costing $30, and the pair of shoes, which is costing $50, so it will sum up to $100. Then that will be the choice of the student, which answers question A. Now, what about question B? The opportunity cost of the items are what? School bag, which is costing $15, exercise books, which is costing $10, uniform, school uniform, which is costing $45, and we have football boots, which is costing $30. Someone will be asking why not the cassette tapes are not there, the radio cassette is not there. Why? Let's go back to the definition of opportunity cost. We said the second best alternatives, which are in line with the resource you have. So when you look at it today, the second best alternative that this student could have bought, if he don't buy those 4 choices, will be these 4 choices, because that's what his money or her money can buy. When you add their cost, all will be equated to $100, and that is what the student is having. So the student cannot spend more than what he or she is having at hand. That is why the opportunity cost will be his second best choices, which are within the amount of money he has, which is his resource. So when you add $15, which is the cost of the school bag, $10, which is the cost of the exercise books, $45, which is the cost of the school uniform, and $30, which is the cost of the football boots, it will be equated to $100, and that will be the end of his money or her money. So that's his second best choices he can make. Now, let's go to C. If his allowance is increased by $25, which means now this student is having an additional $25. He will further purchase what? What will he further purchase? He can only add an amount of $25. So goods costing, his choice, the good costing an amount of $25 that are within $25, those are the goods he can add. That's why he can only add the school bag, which is costing $15, and exercise books, which are costing $10. So what is the reason? This is because the additional $25 can only buy the school bag and the exercise book. So he's going to take those 2 and add it to his previous choices. That is what he can do. Now, what will be the new opportunity cost? The new opportunity cost become now the school uniform, the football boots, the radio cassettes, and the tapes. When you add them up, they will be equals to $125. Know that now his income has increased, his opportunity cost will also, his best choices he could have chosen will also increase. That is why when you add it, it should be equals to now the amount of money he is having at hand, which is $125. The reason is that all these items foregone amounted to his budget of $125. So I will give you an assignment. This will be a WAS past question, May-June 2013, question 2. When we come in our next lesson, we try to see if we can work on that. Thank you very much. Once again, it's your friend Alhaji SM Juf. Until next time.
Have your say.
Fellow Gambians, my government has approved